should start with what's going on right now as a contemporary, right? What makes IPL so popular? In the sense that it is the second largest league today in the world, with the media rights going for almost 50,000 crore Indian rupees. And what changed in IPL, in your view?
I think it was a wonderful invention from the BCCI. It goes with the economics of the country. India got busy, globalization played a huge role. Nobody has time. Of course, they still follow cricket, but nobody has time to watch 5-day test match cricket from morning to evening. I remember in my good old days, I used to come from Mysore, at 6 o'clock in the morning, used to go queue up in the stadium and watch a match the whole day. But I don't think people have time now. You people don't have time to go and watch for 6-7 hours. And then the ODI came in, which became much easier. And I think, when India really started doing really well economically, I think the retail industry dictated terms, and probably television was the best place for them to endorse their products. And I think, a bit of razzmatazz as well as cricket put together, that became a wonderful space for T20. And then again, I mean, we are looking for, the national games, India playing Australia, India playing England was probably the cricket which we know. But, this concept of club cricket, the franchisees game, I think that has now really taken up. Now, I think Bangalore doesn't really, RCB doesn't, the followers of RCB, they don't want anybody from Karnataka. They just want the best players around the world to come and play. That kind of thinking was important. Why is so popular? That's because I think the CEOs of all the retail companies, they decide which sport to support. As I said, every over you get a space of 30 to 35 seconds or maybe a minute, and they can run their ads. The game has been played with highest of intensity. You have got the best of best players in the world. The cream of the world cricket comes and plays and give their heart out. The result is guaranteed. More or less, you get all the games going, most of the games going, down to the wire. So all these things, I think, has come together to make it a wonderful product. And, we are next to NLF, a National Football League, NFL, which is going at 17 million a match, and we are not far away, we are 13 million a match. So I think that was a massive product what India has produced to the world.
I mean, that brings another leading question where, do you think IPL has an influence on Test cricket and one-day cricket? Is one-day cricket dying? One. Second, if you have seen the last match versus England played against New Zealand, where Bairstow just whacked in the last day of the tea session, and you don't see that kind of intensity even in a Test match, right? So do you see that influence coming into the Test cricket as well, and in a gentleman's game?
If you see country with the sporting culture like England, Australia, you will have people coming and watching Test cricket. Excuse me. So you will have this, England, they book their tickets 1 year before, and it's like a festival for them. They take leave well in advance. They come and watch the entire Test match. So most of the Test matches, I did Ashes in 2018. I did the last 3 Test matches. I don't know whether you guys remember when Ben Stokes won a brilliant match for Australia. I was the match referee for that one. And, it was house full all 5 days, which you will not see in India. India, I think, maybe we are very busy in our own ways. Excuse me. We are very busy in our own ways. That kind of following is missing in India. But if you go to Australia, all the 5 Test matches, I think that comes from the culture. Watching a Test match, watching golf, watching football, I think they plan it every year. So they have football for the football season, cricket for the cricket season. At least a cricket fan would watch 1 Test match completely, whether it's absolutely a drawn match or non-interesting, but still they come, they enjoy their beer, they watch all the 5 days. I would say the purists still enjoy the cricket, and I am one of the avid fan of Test cricket. There is a lot to learn from Test match cricket. You know, you kind of struggle in the first spell, you can come back in the second one, you plan better, you're down the drums for the first day, but second day you come back and do better. You go by session, you go by hour. I think Test match is the mother of all game and of all the cricket. So therefore, my heart lies with the Test match cricket.
What about one-day cricket?
One-day cricket is caught in between the T20s and the Test match cricket. Now, if you see the series, most of the series are 3 Test matches, 4 T20s. So slowly, I think it is diminishing. The presence of ODIs are diminishing.
Okay. We are on a AI and analytics conference, so I can't stop asking, something about technology. You've been a player and you've been a match referee, a part of the ICC. My first memory of a technology intervention in cricket is Sachin Tendulkar getting run out through using a third umpire, using technology for run out. How have you seen technology, data adoption, be it in IPL auction or Sangakkara? I remember Sangakkara talking about how he used data and analytics in Rajasthan Royals to infuse some of the thinking. How are you seeing the change from 90s to now, the last 30 years?
We struggled a lot initially. The team strategy was not very well defined. The team meetings were haphazard, I would say. The youngsters used to be bambooed left, right, and center. The seniors got away. I don't know whether it happens in the corporates. I'm sure it's the same analogy. We struggled a lot. I mean, we could not really, there was no strategy. The coaches were unable to understand what was going at the center. The best thing that I could seek for was the VHS cassettes those days. So we used to go and ask one of our coaches like Madan Lal or Anshuman Gaikwad. They were all term-based. So 1 year there used to be a coach, and then the coach changes, and then the next one comes in. So we used to go and ask them, can you get a VHS? So when we saw the VHS, it was a laborious process. You sit and watch, fast forward. Okay, stop. Oh, that's me now bowling. Okay, let me watch where I've been hit. Okay, then again, fast forward. So that really, we lost patience. I mean, we were unable to really pinpoint, what we wanted to watch. So that was a linear axis, what we had. In 99, we had enough. And, although, my engineering background came to help, I studied in JCE Mysore for 2 years. And then the first 2 years was in Hassan. So I had many students as my classmates. I have a long alumni for nearly 10 years. So my engineering was deep-rooted in one way or the other. So I had good friends, when we start discussing, they said, yes, I think now India, we are ready to, bring some technology into sport. So a few friends of us got together and got the help of Phoenix Global Solutions. They were doing some back-end work for the insurance company in Baswangudi, Bangalore. So they put up a nice system where we were able to, tag each and every ball, and then we had a query screen where we could call the pitchers at will. So that was the first time that we introduced technology into sport. So it took a long time for us to convince our own, players to say, look, you can watch yourself on a query screen. Just call your pitchers. It is going to come and you can watch them. Slowly, split screen came into existence. So you could watch your pitches from the previous past when you're doing well. And then where you are struggling, then we used to put the pitches together and watch. This came in 2000. Somewhere around 2000, that's the time. That made a vast difference. Sorry. That made a vast difference in the way I approached my cricket, or some of us approached cricket. Until then, where did we go wrong? We don't know. oh, you're being picked for the Indian cricket team, so you are at this level, so you got to bowl well. This was the coaching what we got. Then later on, the strategy became little more, prevalent. We could sit and analyze the strengths, weaknesses, and all of it. How it started, I must tell you the story about 1996 when we were in South Africa. You must be knowing Bob Woolmer, who died. He was doing it on a Excel sheet. So he had few columns, and then he used to say, outside the off stump, good length, and then the batsman comfortable or not comfortable. So, and then he used to sort it, and then that used to be the first technology intervention into sport. Then slowly, I was so interested when I looked into it. I said, this gives you some kind of insight into the strengths and weaknesses of the player. So somebody has to key in every ball. And then this tool, what we developed in 99, 2000, I think we were the first one to put the video into it. And those days, I can tell you that, even a picture card was this big. And we got it from Israel, from a company called OptiBase. And getting through the customs were all massive thing. And then we built a massive dabba, which was going blue every third second, every third minute. We used to keep it cool by running a massive machine. And even then, it was a Pentium-based machines, which we used, the process which we used to use. So, somehow or the other, we were able to put these things together. And we went to BCCI, and then I said, this is exactly what we want. BCCI said, all right, I think we'll give it a shot. We'll get an opinion from all the players. So I went around with Sachin and everybody and saying, look, we need this. First of all, they said, what can technology teach us? So then I said, there is no point in explaining without showing them the tool. And then when we were done with the tool, I went and met our Narayan Murthy from Infosys. He was our neighbor in Jayanagar. So I went and I spoke to him, said, look, sir, we need your endorsement by the end of it. We will have a presentation, and then we need your endorsement on how important this tool is. He said, for that, I need to see the tool working. Can you show me the tool working? I said, yes, sir, we'll get the tool. So we took the tool to his house, he said, sir, we have loaded around 200 clips. So he said, can you show me the pictures of Sachin playing on the offside? It was a simple query. So we played, and then it started showing all the pictures. He was so pleased. And why Narayan Murthy's endorsement? He spoke for a minute or two, and it was a wonderful, tapa on it. And why it was so important is that, those days, we didn't have enough people who could understand and appreciate technology. They would just ridicule it within no time. So once we did the entire presentation for the press, for the BCCI, and when they saw Narayan Murthy speaking about it, nobody would say a word. So we had to do that also. So that's how the technology was. And then slowly, everybody started looking into it. So if they get their hundreds, or if they're not playing well, they wanted to watch their own games, then in slow motions. So, the moment we gave them the non-linear access of their own pictures, slowly everybody used to come, get a CD done, take it to their rooms. Laptop was just up and coming, and they were able to see and understand. So this game is cognitive. Coaching, again, is cognitive. So you watch and you learn. Now, why somebody else, a kid takes cricket? Because he watches the game. And if he sees something that resonates with his thinking, then he starts assimilating the game. So even coaching is very similar. So you got to watch and learn. And irrespective of how the coaches come and tell you do this or do that, television is the best coach, I would say. I mean, that's if you call it technology. I think the first technology was television, and then comes these tools and all of it. So it's all about, how to get the right pictures, how to get the right information that will aid you improving your game. So that's how technology was introduced.
Okay. Leading that, I just want to understand the cricket analysts these days in every support teams of every cricket team have analysts sitting and analyzing the data. For example, I remember Ashwin talking about, in the last India-Australia series, how he had a game plan against Steve Smith, because Steve Smith is a very busy player on the crease and he moves around the crease and he knew it. is that data generated by an analyst? How does an analyst help today in cricket?
Analysts, Ashwin's thing is about you try a strategy, you talk about it. If it works, well and good, technology helps you, everything. But this is about probabilities. I mean, it is not that it is going to happen, but I think it gives you good indicators as to what could be the most probable way of dismissing a batsman. Now, it is very clear that, if you want to bowl to a batsman and then if you go back to, say, 10 test matches of his batting, and then it's a very common, in all the tools, you will have something called uncomfortable. So I'll just give you a description of how this tool works. The moment the bowler starts running, the analyst says record. Now, the clip is recorded. And then it goes for a 4 or a dismissal or whatever, then he says end, so which means the clip is now cut. Now he adds attributes to it. The bowler's name, and they are automatically populated. Then he says outside the off stump, square cut, or maybe outswinger, he is beaten, whatever the attributes, all those things are now added to the clip. Now that is stored in the database. This is exactly how the analyst sits and cut these clippings. Now, once it is indexed and stored in the database, then it is the query screen you call whatever picture that you want. Now, when you strategize, if you are working on a batsman, now it is easy because if now England and New Zealand are playing, now BCCI have 2 or 3 guys sitting and they are clipping each and every ball. So that's where it is going. So they have their own database where they store all these pictures. So now if you want to analyze a batsman from the last 10 to 15 test matches, now we are able to do that. So now if you go and say wherever he was uncomfortable for the fast bowlers or for the spinners or for the left-arm spinners, you can only watch those pictures.
Got it.
Now that's where I think your machine learning or artificial intelligence, whatever, I don't know that, but that might come into of some use. So whatever Ashwin said, I think once you become little more focused on how to bowl those balls, first of all, you got to visualize where he's uncomfortable. And then you got to go back to the nets and produce those deliveries. So by the end of the day, it is again, technology gives you indications, it gives you guidelines as to what to do. But again, the practical work happens on the field in the nets. And then you come back to the match and then you repeat it. So that's how it works. I think technology has become a tremendous booster. No team meetings now happens without technology. The batting group goes they kind of get together, the bowlers get together, spinners get together. And if it is a left-arm spinner is a problem for Ben Stokes, then what exactly, where to pitch, what to do. So you get all this kind of information, but by the end of it, your body, your arms should be able to bowl in that particular line and length. So it narrows down a lot of options and gives you the best option to do what needs to be done.
Great. So now, looking from the other side as a match referee and umpiring side, with obviously Hawkeye, ball tracking, all that is there. But what more changes would you like to see from a technology standpoint to make umpiring more neutral, more efficient?
Before going into what could happen to technology, now technology in one way or the other has saturated. The biggest advantage, or probably the biggest intervention of technology, was in the broadcasting area. Now, if you see, the frames per second has changed the way the game is viewed. If there is no slow motion, be it cricket or be it your serial soap operas, where there is no slow motions, then the game, it takes the charm out of television. I think slow motion is the biggest clincher. And, frames per second, you're looking at, in sport, they have come to nearly 1,000 frames per second now. So, which gives you more information, more details, and it is always, when time is expanded, things looks even better. For example, like Hawkeye, which was validated by MIT to assure that the technology is working fine, they said you got to use 6 cameras, and the minimum frames per second should be 300. Now, for you to track the coordinates of the ball at every moment, at every instant, you need to have 6 cameras tracking the ball. That's the best what you can get. So earlier, people have tried with 4 cameras. Then again, the samplings were a little low, but you need more samples so that the predictability path at the end becomes more accurate. So the biggest, as I said, was the biggest intervention, or probably the biggest benefit the broadcasters have it today. You can't see, human capabilities fail beyond a point. This faint, edge, I think it is humanly not possible when the stadium is roaring, that noise cannot be heard, that slight deviation cannot be heard. So you're looking for ultra edge, you're looking for hotspots. So you need these technologies. Imagine that you guys are watching Sharjah 1991. दूर से दिखा दिया कुछ भी होने दे यार, out मतलब out चला जाओ. Now it is not like that. Now every decision will be dissected. It will be ripped apart. They will go back and see, look, it is not fair. They will come to the match referees and the third umpires in the room, and they will start questioning the decisions of the umpire. So umpires are so much integrated with technology now that without technology, it is impossible for people to watch the game. Number one, the integrity of the game will go for a toss. And you need the best decisions. The game has become so competitive now that you want the best decisions all the time. So without technology, there is no integrity now. You can say that, okay, spirit of the game should be invoked, whatever. Spirit of the game can only be invoked if decisions are correct. You cannot have 12 wrong decisions in a match, and that has really taken the game away, and then you say invoke the spirit of the game. That makes no sense. So that's one area, and broadcasting is one area. The next is the decision making is another area. Strategizing, this is another area where the analyst does most of the job, and then coaching. Coaching is another area where for the kids and youngsters, unless otherwise you watch yourself, it is very difficult. I mean, coaching is such a complicated stuff that you go through the best of best coaches in the world, or you have Dennis Lilly's coaching camp, or anybody, Sachin Tendulkar's coaching camp. You're not going to learn cricket. It is not easy. It is not cut and paste where you take cricket and put it on somebody's head. Our motor learning skills takes years to change. If somebody has to bowl round arm, I don't know how many people you understand, or somebody wants to get an outswinger who bowls more in-swingers, these changes take 6 to 7 months. So you got to monitor yourself on technology every now and then to see whether you still retain the form, at the same time the change is happening. So these are the 3 areas where I believe it has made a big difference. But now, as I said, I was just thinking about this conference and my little knowledge on this machine learning and artificial intelligence. Look, I have done 10 years of engineering. Generally, it is 4 years, but I did 10. So I have more knowledge. And you can't ask me questions back. I can only tell. I think there will be a stage when you train the machines in such a way that you don't need an analyst. Okay, the image processing will take care of it. You just run the pictures. You teach your machines what to understand, the coordinates, whatever it is, whether he's a right-hander, depending upon whether you set the rule-based system into it, because you need more accuracy here. And then by the end of it, you can infer probably the best options. Now, I think what it can do is probably, since the processing power is more, you can analyze more data. You can have more features to run your machine learning, whatever it does. And then the output could be even more sharper. I think what people need now is the human element attached to it. Now, whatever that happens on the field can be captured. But whether you want to send Dhoni, whether you want to send Bumrah, whether you want to send somebody else, there is the problem. I don't think machine will be able to capture the substrata of the human substrata, basically, which is the emotional intelligence, the personality, and also the value system. So all these three, if it is mixed with, the physical side of the game, the cognitive side of the game, bring this together, that will give you, okay, this is the situation. If this is the cricketer who has excelled 8 times out of 10, so should we send him or should we send somebody else? I think that's where I think we are due to go. As of now, I think it is the gut feeling. We don't have. So this, from that point of view, it is, people are taking a big chance. So, if machine learning and artificial intelligence can be brought in here, so you get this information within no time, and then add the human substrata into that, make it an index and maybe bring it together. I don't know how, but I'm just talking. Don't ask me questions. This is my top of the mind thinking. If that is done, so as a coach, I'm still responsible, but I have enough data into my system, to say maybe these are the reasons why I wanted A, B, C, D, or whoever it is to walk in or bowl or bat, because once, I think whatever that I have understood of this machine learning is that you can put n number of features into the training data. So you can have enough and more, and probably the quickest way to extract it also. So if that could be done, because a man cannot have, an analyst cannot have that many inputs straight away. As of now, maximum 6 is what he can add effectively. If you put 9, if you ask him to key 9 per ball, he's struggling. So the nature of the pitch and all of it, I think if you train the machine, I think it will quickly pick it up and then give you a quick solution. So some of you can start developing a product. Get me as a domain consultant. Pay me a fees, I'll be there. I'm just kidding.
Switching gears, Srinath, you represent an India where, in early 90s, where, cricketers come from metro cities of Mumbai, Bangalore, and suddenly you have somebody coming from Mysore and named as Mysore Express and getting selected to 1992 World Cup, going to Australia. What was it like for you to be, coming from, getting selected to an Indian cricket team then?
I was a reluctant starter. I had all the complexes, coming from a town like Mysore, although Mysore has its own values, but I think I was intimidated by the Bangalore massivity and all the styles of Bangalore and all of it. Generally, there is a bit of a stepmotherly treatment for the little towns. Now, if Bangalore is treating Mysore unfairly, then Mysore will be treating Chamarajanagar unfairly. So that's the chain, and that's the fact of life. You can't do much about it. So I came with all of it, but in fact, it was more inspiring for me to play against Bangalore, against the Bangaloreans. You get 2 wickets against Bangalore, it is as good as taking 5 back in Mysore. So any performance against Bangalore would enhance or augment your own confidence. So that was probably some of the thing, but not an ideal way to really play the game. That's the reason why when I was the secretary of KSCA, I made sure that all centers get the same infrastructure. So because infrastructure defines what you do and how you progress. In cricket, I think you don't need coaches. You don't need many things at a very young age. All you need is an international class infrastructure, and then allow the kids to play. You watch the game, you come back, you just, with freedom, you go and enjoy, you experiment and you explore and you do all of it. So I feel that is more important. Now with technology, of course with internet and the information, free-flowing information throughout the world, I think that gap has diminished quite a bit. There is not much of that factor anymore. But during our days, yes, I think then there used to be quota. Okay, under 19, Karnataka under 19 team, 14 from Bangalore, 1 from Mysore. Whether you're good, bad, doesn't really matter. Keep 1 from Mysore. We'll have 1 official guy playing for Karnataka state. But that slowly changed. I think sometimes performance, talent, and if you're persistent, I'm sure you can change those things.
Yep. I mean, you represent an era of Dodda Ganesh, David Johnson, Venkatesh Prasad, and Srinath, and 4 fast bowlers from Karnataka. So it would have been how was it that particular day where all 4 of you played in an Indian team?
One of the things that I felt during my playing days was that seniors were a little different. I mean, they always believed, going through the hard school, ways of doing things, that you got to learn on your own, you got to struggle, you got to, go through your ups and downs, and you have to come on your own. That is not really required, I think. When you build a team, you don't have to put somebody without any knowledge. You go through whatever you want to do. If you have the capacity, you will come. I mean, that is very fatalistic way of looking into things. That is what we went through. So we didn't want our youngsters to go through it. So we made sure that, we gave them the right information. We said, look, I think one of the fears in cricket, or probably in any walk of life, is that when you find somebody good, instead of appreciating, we feel insecure about him, the other person who is good. That shouldn't be the case. I think we learned it slowly, but at some stage I believed that if we have good 4 fast bowlers, I think we are going to win few matches. If you just have 1 or 2, then your energy is gone by tea session. You would have bowled 18 overs. You would have no energy after that. If you have 3 to go, 4 good fast bowlers, bowling back to back, you can put the team under pressure. You can really do well. You can conserve energy. That kind of mentality came, little later. The way I'm not blaming my seniors that's the way they played their game. But these kind of knowledge started opening up for us from 95, 96 onwards. We got better and better, I would say, thinking-wise. Then we had this massive scandal of match fixing, which was very unfortunate. There was an element of truth, perhaps. The people who got involved, paid a heavy price for that. That's what happens when there is more money. People who are desirous will pay a price for sure. That's exactly what happened. Then we came out of it. That was probably very inspiring for all of us to come out of it, to prove that the game is clean and we play this game in the right spirit. So my career has been very interesting in those 13 years. Bit of up and down, slow learnings, few good times, few systems rocking up and down. Nice career, I would say. I would say that I enjoyed my career.
Absolutely. I mean, in today's world, especially in Indian cricket, there are a lot of fast bowlers. And if I may ask you, who's your favorite in today's lot in Indian cricket? Fast bowlers.
I think Bumrah has impressed.
What makes you think Bumrah's run-up versus your run-up versus Shoaib Akhtar's run-up? And what makes him so successful in this?
First of all, I think he has a deceptive action. Okay. Now, that is more important. The batsman cannot decipher what he's trying to do or where the ball is being released. What happens at a younger age, if you don't have this conventional action, coaches say, no, you change. You have to change your entire action. The originality gets tampered. Once your originality is tampered, then you're not the same, especially in a sport like cricket, which is absolutely physical. So I think he has retained it. So as an youngster, whenever I got to meet him during IPL, and I said, hold on to your originality, don't change. Do whatever you want and improve from here on. And if something disastrous happened to your action, that's the time for you to change. Just because, A said or B said or C said, you don't have to change your actions. The problem what we have in India is we have one too many coaches and one too many free advisors. So And these advisors come to you and give more advices when you do well. When you don't do well, nobody's around you. I'm sure it happens in every walk of life.
It all happens in corporate too. I mean, I'm sure this has been asked before. If not cricket, what career would you have chosen?
Look, coming from a typical middle-class family and coming from Mysore and all of it, so your parents just want you to finish a degree.
Yep.
Now, during my time, it was all about doing engineering or medicine. Now, I was not the best of best students. I was a very average, who could just pass. Sometimes I used to see, why give 8 questions and make us write 6? And once you 35 and up, why am I writing 4? What for? That was my mindset. But again, you got to get into engineering and here and there. And I was never a natural student. I struggled all my life as a student. JC was one of those things. I don't know, I'm sure few of you from here must be from JC. So everybody went to JC, so it was a thing to go to JC. I said, okay, I want to do my engineering there. I said, why? But everybody goes there, so I got to be there. So generally, I would have been a mediocre engineer maybe, with 1 or 2 years here and there, and not 10 years, 1 or 2 years.
Working in a corporate like us?
Do a little bit of research in 1 or 2 semesters, and then maybe, get into sales, get into something else, because I was not one of those smart, I couldn't do this. When they taught me Fortran and Pascal those days, it was impossible for me to understand what was happening. I could not understand. And those days, it was only theory. There was no practical. We didn't even see a computer, but we were studying computers those days. I mean, that was ridiculous.
That's a good one.
Then another one is people would go to US, and I would have probably, did all those things.
So, Sridhar, you retired in 2003, and then you and Jumbo, Anil Kumble, decided you should get into the administration of KSCA, and you won the elections, and you were part of KSCA for a few years, I know. How was that stint, and what did you learn in that entire thing? I'm sure there is a lot of leadership lessons where you could impart from there to us.
You don't have to go to Harvard, you don't have to go to Stanford or any management schools around the world. I think you do a good public Indian service for an institution for 3 years, you will learn all of it. Okay, the way you deal with the politicians, the way you deal with the cops, the way you deal with your own cricketers. And the best thing is you will get to know when you are in the thick and thin of administration, you will get to know who are your best friends. Okay, so I think it was an eye-opener for us. We were too young for this, but I think, we just wanted to do only 1 term of 3 years, but we could not tell it in public. But yes, we wanted to do only 1 term and make a difference to people. And for us, it was just about giving kids the right kind of cricket. We wanted to enhance the international class facility for up to 2,000 to 2,000 people throughout Karnataka. That was our dream, and which was not happening. But now if you see, I'm sure you would have seen all private academies here and there. And when we, KSCA, have crores of rupees, as of now, we have 300 crores of rupees lying. And then we still don't spend on kids to play cricket. Kids, I'm sure one of your kids would be going to the coaching camps somewhere here, paying thousands of rupees. I mean, I still don't endorse it. I believe it is the responsibility now just like the government, I think we are the institution for the young and aspiring cricketers. So they should not be paying. We should be having academies everywhere, which we started. But everybody has their own way of doing things. So, views will be different. We developed 16 grounds throughout Karnataka to make sure that the kids come and play. Some of the infrastructures are still there. But, this is as good as politics. If there is 2 groups here, there are 2 groups here. Your best friend is standing in the opponent. I wonder why this has to happen in cricket, but that's the way the structure is. I think that's one of the flip side of democracy in a way. First of all, good people don't come for administration is because your reputation will be trampled. Now, that's the threat what we all have. But we have to put it to the side. And then I think see this life, and if you're honest, and if we come for the right reasons, we don't have to be worried about what people say, what people talk. They can say what they want to say, but 3 years of administration, I think, opened my eyes. Whatever that we could, we did. This is like a wheel. You probably invented 3 times or 4 times. The second guy will come and do it only twice. So, we need to be satisfied. Whether you do good, whether you do bad, you'll be criticized. So we should not be, kind of disappointed with that or demoralized. You go with a certain, objectives, and then make sure that you finish those objectives. We were very young. I came at the age of 42 into the administration. I carry wealth of experience for sure. Maybe in another 5 to 6 years' time, we might get back into it. We don't know.
Okay. So taking that stint and your learnings, what is your leadership style now? What mantra do you follow? Especially you being a match referee, you're in charge of the matches, you're all that. What is the mantra do you follow today?
I think I feel a leader should always be should play a role on the backstage. I believe in one-on-one leadership than being more aggressive on people. Even if it is an aggressive way of communicating to anybody for that matter, there are situations, rarely, it has to be one-on-one. I think it should not be, your aggression should not be there for public display. This is one thing that I always always believe in. And number 2, leadership is the way you transform people without them knowing about it. So you put your value practice in front of them. First of all, as a leader, I need to look deeper into me to see what kind of value system do I have before I start preaching. And I think the change what we try to bring drastic in people is the biggest mistake that we all try to do. So some people might not fall in alignment. That is fine. I mean, good leadership is that to accept it and move forward. But if you try to arm twist everything to fall into your ways of thinking and your objective, it might not work. I had one challenge in this match refereeing that was in St. Lucia, West Indies, when the West Indies team, the Sri Lankan team, didn't have to, they said that they are not taking the field because of a decision taken on the ball tampering. So I was put into test. Basically, my job as a match referee is to make sure that they come onto the field. The game is at stake. Millions of dollars riding high on the broadcasters who have invested, the host association, basically the game is at stake. The whole country is sitting and watching the game, and then the team says that I'm not going onto the field. I had to challenge myself, and I said, look, if I'm unable to convince them to get onto the field, then I think I should quit this job and go home. So it took 2.5 hours of convincing. Chandimal was the captain then, and Guru Singh, I'm sure you know Guru Singh as Sri Lanka's. Hathura Singhe was also the manager. So it took 2.5 hours of convincing, talking and pursuing. And my English was completely exhausted by the end of 2 hours. I had nothing to say, but somehow or the other I had to draw courage and get these people onto the field. Finally, I was able to do that. Then again, we have to, at some point in time, if that doesn't happen, I think the leader should not be there in that position. So I think there's nothing wrong. I mean, that is also a leadership skill to walk out of it if need be. There's no disgrace there, I would feel.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. One last question from me before I'm sure my friends and colleagues have some questions on their mind too. Yeah. You spoke about, you started in 1990, 2003, and obviously technology, analysis, all that. You think you would have taken more wickets today if you were starting today? 350
more?
Sure.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying it.
In test or in one days or altogether?
Well, I think test match is always more satisfying. You work hard for a test match, for a wicket, you strategize, and there's nothing like, there are 2 ways of getting wicket. One is the batsman gives you the wicket. Then you can go back and say, oh, no, I have strategized and I did this, I did that. And I go, that's okay. The second one is you really, deep down, you know that you have earned that wicket. So this is the what you work for all the time.
And also obviously the facilities available. For example, at the age of 39, James Anderson is still playing. So,
He's phenomenal. You see, that's where I think sometimes, when you look into Shane Warne's, history, I mean, he used to talk about leg spin to a fast bowler standing at the airport for 20 minutes, how passionate he was about it, inventing a new ball which he would want to bowl, and then he's telling an opponent, player, at the airport, he was so much involved in that game. And, when you are so deeply ingrained, good things happen to you. You're going to win matches, you're going to take wickets. Sometimes I feel, why didn't I connect that deeper into this sport? When you see Anderson playing, these are the things that I regret even today, that my connection, was it strong enough? Was there scope that, where I could have done better? I strongly doubt myself to say that whenever I see this exemplary performance on the field, I feel that, I was slow, maybe my learnings were slow, my attitude could have been better. These are the things that stare, into my eyes once in a while. And that's a good feeling too. It's not that, you get wickets and you win matches at the same time. We need to look down into ourselves, say where we went wrong, where you were slow, why didn't I do that, where was my mind? And some of the things that I understood, or probably I had the advantage of finishing a career at the age of 34. Retired, now what next was the thing. So, but when I come out of it, I think you can reflect upon yourself to see things you could have done more. Just after that, I was thinking that I could have done this, I could have done that. I think the connections could have been much stronger. When you are talking about leadership skill, a lot of things that I could have done better. There are plenty of things that I could have, maybe my attitude should have been different. Maybe my workout training could have been different. People say that you should never regret what you have done, but I think that is not possible. I'm sure when we all look back, most of us, barring Shane Warne and James Anderson, there is something that we left which we could have done, we didn't do it.